and today I'm going to talk about the student visa across the world and immigration opportunities across the world, not just US, all the countries. To start with the introduction, the statistics I collected from the consulting companies, there are 1 million students every year go abroad and they do the higher education outside of India. So it's 1 million students every year go abroad and do their higher education. And the prerequisites to get admission in a foreign university is you should have a sound educational background. When I say sound, you have to have very good percentage. For example, someone has 70%, 75%, 80%, 90%. So those are the people who get the admission in a foreign university. So for example, someone has 90%, they will get in an admission in better university compared to someone has 80% or 70%. So if you want to get an admission in a foreign country, you have to have a better percentage, number one. Number two, you have to have better scores. I'll talk about that next. Perfect English. And in some countries, they consider other languages also apart from English. And in majority of the institutions, the fees are high because you are paying in euro or dollar or whatever. So you will be paying a lot of money. You have to show you have money in your parents' account, or you have a pre-approved loan from the bank. Otherwise, you might be able to get some kind of assistance from the college itself. So those are the prerequisites to get an admission in foreign university. Once you have those things, you will get an admission. And those who are from Telangana, there is a scholarship called Minority Scholarship for Education Abroad. So that scholarship is going to pay up to maximum 20 lakh rupees if you get an admission in foreign university and you have very good scores. They have prerequisites, right? And you have to prepare some paperwork. I'm going to talk about it in next few minutes. So the number one is the academics. As I said, if you have better academics, better score, you are going to get admission in better university. So there are some top class universities, for example, like MIT, Harvard, Princeton University, right? Yale University. Those universities, if you want to get an admission into those universities, you must be having a very good academic track record. For example, 90% marks or 95% marks, right? Number one. Number two, you are not supposed to have any backlogs. For example, I have a subject which I failed 2 times, 3 times. If you have those kind of a background, it's really hard for you to get an admission, number one. And number two is you have to have English language. The English language I'm talking about is, it's not about the English language which you are doing in your academics. There will be a separate English language test, which you have to complete the test, get the score. Example, there is an exam called TOEFL, Test of English as Foreign Language, IELTS, International English Language Testing System. Otherwise, there is a PTE, Pearson English Language Test. There is another called Duolingo. So these are the different English language tests. So if you pursue any of these tests, you are going to prove you are fluent in English language, right? Some of the tests are acceptable in some places. For example, IELTS is acceptable in US. The Pearson test PTE is acceptable in Australia. And TOEFL is acceptable almost everywhere. But majority of the countries accept IELTS. If you have IELTS score, you will get an opportunity to study abroad and across the world, right? But if you are planning to go to Australia and you want to save some money, you can write PTE, Pearson English Language Test. And if you are planning to go to UK and you want to save money, you can go for Duolingo. right? So these are the some tips in terms of saving money. Uh, in some top universities, they are going to require you to write an exam called GRE, Graduate Record Examination. So when you are done with your graduation, you are going to write GRE exam along with IELTS or any other English language exam. That score is going to help you secure an admission in foreign university, right? The next thing I told just now is your family background. So in most of these foreign universities, the fees is high because you are paying in dollars or euros or any UK pound, sterling pound, whatever it is, right? So you have to have a sound family background, number one. Otherwise, you have to have a pre-approved loan from a well-recognized bank, number two. Otherwise, you are very good in academics, you have very good score. So what you do is, you are going to get a scholarship from the university itself. If you have very extraordinary background, universities are going to give you a scholarship, and you can use that scholarship and complete your education, right? So overall, you have to prove you have money paid by either your parents or the bank or the university to complete your education. So that is one of the minimum requirement to get the student visa. So the next thing in this whole process is, you have to prepare something called Statement of Purpose, SOP. So the Statement of Purpose is a one-page document prepared by you. So in the document, you are going to specify what is your background, why you want to pursue this course, and why did you choose that university. These are all the things you are going to specify. What are your future plans? What is the reason you have chosen this particular course and university? So the document title itself is telling what the document is all about. Statement of Purpose. Then you have to prepare a resume about yourself. It's an academic resume. That resume is going to talk about who you are, what is your background, and why you are planning to do this particular course. And to get into this particular course, what kind of research you did, if you did any research. So those are the details you are going to specify in your resume, academic resume. The next thing you need is a LOR, letter of recommendation. So you did a bachelor degree or master's degree in a university. So you have to get a letter of recommendation from your professors. That is another requirement. So you are going to get that letter from the university professor, and your professor says, this particular candidate is a very good, hardworking person. He's really smart, intelligent, and I am recommending this person to get an admission in a foreign university, in master's program or PhD program or whatever the program you are applying for, right? And if you don't have money, you have to apply for the loan, get the loan approval. If you have any research, you have completed any research, you have to specify what kind of research you did and where that research was published, right? And some people go to foreign countries after working few years in some company or some organization. That is also fine. And if you did work in some college, some university, or some organization or some government department, you have to specify where did you work and what your work was, whether your work is really related to your course you are applying for in a foreign university. एग्जाम्पल समझो कि है ना, मैं किसी कंपनी में काम करा था और वो कंपनी में है ना, मैं किसी मशीन्स के बारे में है ना बहुत सारा रिसर्च किया हूँ, और मैं वही सेम फील्ड में मैं मास्टर्स प्रोग्राम करने के लिए या पीएचडी करने के लिए मैं फॉरेन कंट्री को जाना चाहता हूँ, राइट? सो bottom line is, if you have any experience, work experience, you can definitely add that work experience only if your work experience is related to your program which you are joining in the university, right? So my session today is about student visa opportunities across the world, not just US. I am from US, but I'm not talking about just US opportunities, but I'm talking about all the countries. So let me compare the differences between US, UK, Australia, and Canada. So there are four countries I am comparing, only four countries I am comparing today. So number one is people who are going to Australia or UK. Number one, they have to pay 50% of the fees before they go. If you are not going, if you are not paying that fees, you cannot go. So 50% of your course fees has to be paid if you are going to Australia or UK, number one. The difference between UK, Australia, and Canada is, in UK and Australia, you have to pay 50%. In Canada, you have to pay $10,000. 10,000 Canadian dollars you have to pay in advance before you apply for the visa, and that money will be deposited in Canadian bank, and it is called as Guaranteed Investment Certificate, GIC. So the GIC is used as a guarantee before you go to Canada and start your course, right? And the third thing is, if it is US. So US, Australia, 50% of the fees. Canada, $10,000. But if you are going to US, you don't have to pay anything, but you have to show you have money. You might be giving the bank statements. Otherwise, you might be giving the, some other documentation to prove you have money in your bank or pre-approved loan from the bank to go to US and study in US. So US, you have to show money. Canada, you have to pay $10,000. US, UK and Australia, you have to pay 50% of the fees before you leave. And one other thing is, the students who go to all these countries, they can work 20 hours a week. Legally, they can work 20 hours a week. But the difference is, you cannot work for any employer of your choice. You can work only if the employer is the university, right? You are going to some university, and in that university there is some work. You can work 20 hours a week. And in terms of a legal document, the document is called as I-20 in US, and it is called Conditional Offer Letter in UK. Just naming. And once you go to those countries and you complete your education, you will get an opportunity to work in those countries legally, right? So it is called PSW in UK, and it is called EAD or OPT or CPT in US. And the validity of these documents, these conditions are different. So for example, if it is post-study work, PSW in UK is 18 months, and CPT is for 6 months, and OPT is for 3 years in US, right? And in Canada also, you will get a work permit for 3 years after you completing 2 years of master's program. If you complete 2 years of master program in Canada, you will get a work permit for 3 years in Canada. One other difference is, in Canada and Australia, spouse can work legally, but in US, spouse cannot work. So that is the difference. All right. So the next is, I have some more comparisons in between these countries, 4 countries: UK, US, and Australia, Canada. If you are applying for the UK, you are going to submit your paperwork to VFS, Visa Facilitation Services, and there is no interview. You are going to submit the documents. They are going to scrutiny your documents, and if they are happy with your documents, if they are satisfied with your documents, they are going to give you a visa. You don't have to go in person to the Canadian consulate, right? So Canadian consulate, Australian consulate, UK consulate, you don't have to go in person. You submit your documents, they are going to give you a visa if the documents are satisfactory. But in case of US, you have to go in person and submit the documents and attend the interview. So the officer is going to ask you, why are you planning to go to US, and what is your family background, who is going to pay your fees, and why you are going to that particular university and planning to do that particular course. Right? You have to give a satisfactory answer and reasonable answer to the visa officer if it is US. But for Canada, UK and Australia, no interview. You just have to submit your paperwork and they are going to issue visa based on what is your paperwork and how good you do your paperwork. Right? And one other thing about this whole process is, in all these countries, there are some big universities and there are some small colleges. So if you are planning to do your course in foreign countries in a college, you are going to save money. I mean, the fees is less. But if you go to foreign countries and if you are planning to do in big universities, the fees is more. So many of the times people, what they do is, they will apply for a big university, they will get an admission. After getting an admission, what they do is, they are going to change from big university to a small college. Don't do that, because if you do that, you are violating the visa rules, visa norms, visa conditions, right? And in big universities, the fees is more, but completing the course and getting good scores is easy, right? But the fees is more. If you are planning to save money, you will go to small college, and completing the course and getting good scores and passing the whole program is little difficult, right? And in big universities, big colleges, you will get the scholarship if you do good in your first semester. If you do good in first semester, after first semester, second semester onwards, second, third onwards, the university is going to pay your fees. You don't have to pay anything from your pocket, only if you do good in the first semester and your university professors are really happy about your academic performance. All right. The people who go for these educational programs in foreign countries, in general, what they do is, they will settle there itself. They don't want to come back. Majority of the people who go on a student visa, they go there and they get a job, they will settle there. So there are some keywords and some processes in that. So the number one is, the different terminology I'm trying to give here is, in US it is called as green card, otherwise permanent residency, otherwise immigration. And in UK it is called as ILR, indefinite leave to remain, right? Just a terminology, but everything is similar in between these countries. And in case of Australia and Canada, there is a skilled occupation list, SOL. So what is this SOL is, they are going to evaluate your candidature based on your age, your qualifications, your experience, and your spouse qualifications, your spouse age and their qualifications or experience. And also, if it is Canada, for example, they are going to consider another language. If it is Australia, Latin. If it is Canada, it is French. So apart from all your qualifications, if you are fluent in French, you write a French exam and you get a good score, you will be easily going to get the permanent residency or green card in these two countries, Australia and Canada. And in terms of timing, the permanent residency after your master's program in Australia takes between 3 months to 1 year. And in Canada, it takes 2 to 6 months. Once you become eligible, once you apply, that is the time it takes. But in US, it takes a little longer, right? There are some general information. People who already got the visa, they are ready to go. Make sure you read the rules of the country. You are going to a foreign country, and in all the foreign countries, the rules are different. For example, you are going to US. I'm in US. and I'm going to give my personal example. If I am going to US, I am not supposed to carry the plants, the seeds. Plants and seeds are not allowed in US from any country. So they are going to check your bag if they have a doubt you are carrying plants or seeds. So similar to that, you have to find out in each country what is allowed and what is not allowed. Many of the people don't go to Gulf countries as a student, but in case if you are planning to go to Gulf countries as a student, you are not supposed to pack the poppy seeds hush hush. So it is not allowed. If you carry that, they are going to put you in prison. The important thing everyone needs is the flight tickets. So you have to do some kind of a negotiation, some research to find out which flight tickets are good for you to go. And the next thing is accommodation. When you go there, you want to live in a shared apartment or you are going to rent your own apartment. So you have to make your plan. And in case if you need any assistance in that process, you can contact me. I'm going to share my email address at the end. And in US, there are community groups called MSA, Muslim Students Association. So you can contact the Muslim Students Association in US if you are going to US. But if you go to other countries, you have to find out similar organizations which might help you if you need an accommodation or any other help. For example, आपको जुमा की नमाज को जाना है, and you don't know where is the masjid and what time the namaz is. So those all things you can find out from these organizations called Muslim Students Association or similar organizations in those countries, right? And if you have a license to drive the car in India, convert the license into IDL International Driving License. In some countries, it is allowed for you to drive the car from day one if you have international driving permit, IDP or International Driving License, IDL. Once you go there, you are going to get the local driving license within 1 month or 3 months, whatever the time it is. But if you have an international driving license with you, that is going to help from day one. One other important point for all the people who are planning to migrate to other countries or planning to get a student visa, they should check their name. Many of the people from India going for on a student visa or any other immigration visa, they have problems with their name. Number one, make sure your name is not too long. If your name is like 30-40 characters, see if you can change and make it shorter. Number one. Number two, check what is your name in 10th class certificate, 12th class certificate, your university certificate, your Aadhaar card, your passport. Make sure the spellings are same across all these certificates, because at the last moment when you are ready to go, these things will become a bigger headache and you will be just roaming around offices to change the name. So if you are planning to go abroad after 2 years, 4 years, 10 years, make sure your name is consistent across all the documents. 10th में, इंटर में, डिग्री में, पासपोर्ट में, हर जगह एक ही नाम होना चाहिए, राइट? आपको एक जैसा दिखाई देता, लेकिन कहीं भी एक स्पेलिंग भी अगर गलत है तो उसको ठीक कर लो. Make sure it is right and it is consistent across all the documents. And if there are some people who go to Gulf countries for education. For example, someone wants to do their master's program in UAE, master's program in Saudi. So those people have to endorse their certificates from the Ministry of External Affairs, Ministry of Education. So there is endorsement process. If someone needs that kind of endorsement process, I can help. At the end, I'm going to give you my email address. You can contact me and I'm going to help that. So there is a process where you are going to say this certificate is a real and original certificate endorsed by Ministry of Education, Government of India, Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India. But this requirement is only valid for Gulf countries, not US, not Australia, not UK, not Canada. There are some specific rules about US, because I am from US. I know a lot more about US than other countries. So I'm giving some more extra information about that. So if you have education in India, You have to get a certificate from US which says that your education in India is exactly equal to education in US. So for example, you did a bachelor's degree in India. Your bachelor's degree in India should be equal to the bachelor's degree in US. So there are organizations who are going to charge you like $50, $100, $200. You are going to pay that money, and once you pay the money, they are going to do the educational evaluation and they will give you a report. That report is mandatory in most of the universities to get an admission. And this educational evaluation is mandatory in US. In some universities, GRE is not required, but if you write GRE, that is better. You can easily get the visa if you have GRE. And some universities are going to give you an admission without IELTS also, but it is better to write the IELTS and have a score. There are some agents who are going to help you, they are going to charge, but don't depend on agents 100%. You do your own research, you can definitely get the help from the agents, but make sure the agent is giving you the right information, cross-check that information. Because sometimes agents themselves don't know, they are giving wrong information. So you have to make sure whatever the information is given by the agents is correct. Verify with secondary sources. Who are those secondary sources? Inshallah, I can help. All right. In India, there are programs called BSc and BCom. BSc and BCom in India are 3-year degree courses. Those 3-year degree courses are not considered as a bachelor degree in US. In US, the bachelor degree means 4 years degree. 3 years degree is not a bachelor degree in US. So if you are planning to go to US, you have a BSc or BCom, you might be planning to add one more year of program, for example, postgraduate diploma in computer science, 1 year postgraduate diploma in computer science from Usmania University. Otherwise, you are going to add BSc plus MBA, BCom plus MBA, BCom plus MCom, BSc plus MSc. So you have to add some more to make it 4-year degree. Otherwise, if you have a BE or BTech, it is by default 4 years degree and it is acceptable. In some countries, health insurance is required. In US, health insurance is not required to get the visa, not required to travel. But if you go to universities, some universities are going to ask you, show me the health insurance proof, then only you can start the classes. And there is no medical test required to get the student visa in US, but in other countries, in some other countries, medical test is required. All right. One important thing about US is the visa interview. The important point is the visa interview. Visa interview is required in US, number one. Number two, what questions they will ask. Right? You are applying for a student visa to go to US. So the first question they are going to ask is, why did you choose this university? You have to know the entire background of the university, where that university is, how old that university is, what kind of the courses the university is offering, and who are the professors in that university, what is the background of the professors in that university. If you know more and more information about the university, that is good for you in visa interview. Majority of the time, people don't get the visa because they don't know about the university enough. When a visa officer is asking you, why did you choose this university, you have to have a reasonable and convincing answer, right? Number one. Number two, they are going to ask you who is going to pay the fees. If you have your parents and parents are going to pay the fees, you are going to submit the proof. Where is the money and where it came from? Did you pay the taxes or is it illegal money? Otherwise, you are going to have a pre-approved loan letter from the bank. So bank is going to say, if you get the visa, I am going to pay the fees. It's a loan, right? So those kind of questions generally they ask in the interview. And in terms of paying the fees, in US you are going to pay the fee once your course starts. Maybe 1 or 2 days before the course starts, maybe 1 or 2 days after the course starts, you are going to pay the fees after reaching US, after around when the course starts. As I said, few days before or few days after course started, you are going to pay the fees. In some universities, they are going to allow some kind of installment also. As I said before, you might get the scholarship from the university. In some universities, they are going to give you an opportunity called assistantship. Assistantship means there is a professor and the professor needs some help. So professor wants to prepare the PowerPoint presentation. So for example, I am giving the PowerPoint presentation today, and this PowerPoint presentation is prepared by me. But if I am really busy person, I cannot spend time to prepare the presentation, they are going to give this presentation preparation work to a student and they are going to pay. It's not free. So you might become assistant to a professor and you will get the money, and that money you can use for your fees or any other expenses. So in US, if you are planning to stay there forever, immediately after completing your education, you will get an opportunity to work for 3 years for any employer of your choice. 3 years. Within those 3 years, you have to find out an employer, and that employer is going to file H1. It's a H1 visa in US. It's a work permit. And once you get the work permit, you are going to work for only that employer. And if that employer is going to give you an opportunity to stay in US forever, they are going to file your green card. The employer is going to file your green card, not you. You are not going to file the green card. Once the green card gets approved, it might take 10 years, 15 years, or whatever the time it is. After that, you will get the green card. Once you get the green card, after 5 years, you can apply for the citizenship. You will get the US passport. And I have that. There are few things about UK. In some universities in UK, they are going to accept Indian students without writing IELTS. But the condition is you have to have English subject in your curriculum. So for example, in 10th class, you have English. In intermediate, you have English. In your degree, you have English. And in all these courses of English language, you have scored at least 60% marks. But this condition is only for UK. And if you have 60% marks in all the English subjects, you need not be writing IELTS. If you write it, that is good. But if you don't write, they'll accept. As I said, BSc and BCom is not considered as a degree in US. It is considered as a degree in UK. All right. And if you're going to UK, before you go to UK, you have to buy the health insurance. Without health insurance, you cannot travel to UK after getting the visa. Right? And there is a medical test to go to UK. Before you apply for the UK visa, student visa, you have to get the medical test. But such a medical test is not required for US. And in UK, there is a processing option. If you are in hurry, you want to go early because your course is starting in UK, you can get your visa in 3 days, or you can get your visa in 1 week, or by default, you will get your visa in 1 month. So if you are in hurry, you have to pay more money to get the visa early. You might get in 3 days or 1 week. It is your choice. By default, you will get in 1 month. And few things about Australia. So in Australia, in the beginning I said, you have to pay 1 year fees. Once you pay 1 year fees in Australia, you will get a COE, confirmation of enrollment, from Immigration Department in Australia. And in case of Australia, those people who are planning to go to Australia, they might prefer to use the agent, because in some Australian universities, there is an option to get like 5%, 10% or 15% of the discount in your fees if you go through some agents. So there are some agents in Hyderabad, they are going to offer a discount. if you are planning to go to Australia and in specific universities. So if any agent is offering you a discount, planning to go to Australia, use it. But there is no such concept in Canada or US, only for Australia. And one other important thing to note about Australia is if you go to Australia on a visitor visa, you can convert your visitor visa into student visa. That is easily possible, and it is one of the attractive option if you are planning to go to Australia as a student. And in the beginning I said there are number of points. So in Australia there are number of points based on your age, your qualification, your experience, and your spouse age and your spouse qualifications. And these number of points differ from state to state. So for example, in southeastern Australia you have to have a lot of points to get the immigration eligibility. But if you are planning to settle in Western Australia, the number of points are less. So those people who don't have lot of points, they can prefer submitting their immigration application in Western Australia, right? As I said in the beginning, if you are planning to go to Canada, you are going to pay $10,000 GIC, and that GIC, the guaranteed investment certificate, if you get the visa, if you travel to Canada on day one, you will get $2,000 from those $10,000. So in first 1 month, you can buy whatever you want for your needs. Otherwise, you can keep that money for your fees or something else. After that, every month, you will get $600 from your own $10,000 in Canada. And in generally, people who apply for the student visa for Canada will get their visa within 15 days, maximum 3 months. And the study permit you will get at the airport after landing in Canada, and you will get the social identification number SIN in Canada after landing at the airport in Canada. The other countries where people generally go for the student visa or immigration is Europe, other Gulf countries like UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, right? People can go there and same rules apply. Those who are planning to go to Japan as a student, they should learn Japanese language. Those who are planning to go to Germany, they have to learn German language and show some proficiency and show the certification you have learned German. All right, so maybe I'm going to end here and